Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Hallis Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports. Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails, NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hope you like all the shows.
Good afternoon. We got Davey, Smoking Dad, and Will Vogels all in the chat. Thank you very much. Yes, now that the Huddle Sports Network is teamed up with me and Restream, they go live into my channel when they go live. So if you want to hear people talk other than me at 11 a.m. and it's people from other teams in the North, and there's even a Raiders fan or a Falcons fan in there occasionally, you can hear some decent NFL talk. But I'm always live at noon. That's not going to change. Dwayne Keene in the chat. Smoking Dad, though. Wish it was longer. So, PFF grades are out. Let's talk about it. Our number one rated player was Kevin Zeitler with a 78.8. Amon-Ra St. Brown was second with a 76.3. Both of our tackles were next with 75.3 and 69.6. That's a little low for Penei Sewell at 69.6, but good grades are 65 and up is what they say according to PFF. So those three had a good game. David Montgomery had a 79.4. Our lowest rated offensive lineman, and I've never seen this before in his history, was Frank Ragnow. Our lowest rated offensive player was Sam Laporta. And I think it's because they held the bad targets that was to him against him. And no, that was the real broski. He was hammering on Chicago. Brock Wright, 56.1. And wide receiver Khalif Raymond, 58.6. Because he called me out by name. But my name's on the screen anyway, so that's how it goes. Let's go Detroit Lions, one pride. NFC North Division title. All grit, never back down, 1-1. Yeah, it's on to the next. Now, defensively, it's everybody I said it would be at the top. Aiden Hutchinson, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, Ali McNeil, and DJ Reader. At the bottom of the list, and I said it was going to be one, he was going to be one of them, and I don't like the fact we keep calling him up active. Kyle Pico. He does nothing. He's a bump on the log. He makes the other tackle next to him do less. He's a lot like Benito Jones right now. Our second worst rated player was Terrion Arnold. Then it was Malcolm Rodriguez, and Carlton Davis rounds it out. They gave Jack Campbell a low grade too, but I don't agree with it. Jack Campbell made some key plays in that. Was he crying? No. He was giving the Chicago Bears front office, the players that were crap, the whole 9 yards. It was great. He calls Braxton Jones, Braxton Backfield Jones. He said, we'll be looking for 4 offensive linemen next year. Coach Eberflush stinks. Yeah, he was letting them have it. It was great. And he even suggested that maybe they should sit Caleb for a while. And I kind of don't agree with Malcolm Rodriguez. Carlton Davis and Terrion Arnold, I get it. Because it didn't matter which side that Chris Godwin was on, he ate. Whether he was lined up with Davis or whether he was lined up with Arnold. So that's the PFF grades. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. So I still think there's something going on with Ben Johnson and why he's play calling the way he does. I don't like it. Yeah, if they fix that O-line, they will be a problem. And who warned them? Bears fans were bragging about DeAndre Swift the entire time with his 2 yards per carry through 2 games. You can't say that about either one of our running backs, that they've been that bad. So, and all of those bad grades as far as the offensive linemen were mostly on passing downs. The run grades were still decent, even though we never ran up the middle in the third quarter after Vita Vea went out, and I hated it. We should have been using Monty and pounding them through the middle of the offensive line. Well, he really hasn't done much. Can't get hurt if you don't do much. Just saying. The hottest team in the league right now, every drive has been a score, is the Saints. Every drive. They have not had an offensive drive not lead to a score. 14 touchdowns and 1 field goal. It's an amazing stat. 91 points so far this season. All right, cue the music. We had a good discussion about Ricky Scott's great-great-grandfather, and he actually was a part of the Black Sox. But he was not one of the ones that was kicked out of the league because he played the following year. Had a pretty stellar career, too. Congratulations, Ricky. I'm glad I could let you know about your great-great-grandfather, who actually was a rookie for our own Detroit Tigers in 1905, so we can claim him. Pardon me. Whoever bet the underdog teams this weekend is happy as hell. Yeah? How about that game last night? I hit it. You guys don't hear the music? Yeah, everything's turned up. There's about a minute delay. There's a minute delay from my end to your end. Well, anyways, I did some research last night. He was indeed dropped from the scandal based off of his performance. He pitched well in the playoffs. Shoeless Joe Jackson, however, not so much. Yeah, he just hit a slump at the wrong time, and it was bad timing, according to everything that I've read about it. If you read the book, it goes into more detail than even the movie did. I love to read, by the way. Good afternoon, Pat Rothwell. I don't understand why the music's not working. That's bothering me. Maybe that's why. But Kirk O'Shaughnessy leads the Falcons down to take the lead. 8 men out. 8 men out. Read the book. It goes into more details about what happened with Shoeless Joe Jackson. Fruity Fred Peterson in the chat. Good afternoon. It's a great day to be a Lion One Pride. Yeah, the Tigers last night go down early with a whole great big grand salami to put them behind. And they just come back and win 7-6. And they say, no biggie. We're getting it done with some of the most unusual ways, and I love it. So, what about the Tigers? I mean, we're talking about a team that's 22-9 since the beginning of August. 8 men out, ordering it on Amazon as we speak. Thank you, sir. Ricky Saccot's great Fred Peterson. Ricky Saccot's great grandfather was Ed Saccott that pitched for the Chicago White Sox during the whole Black Sox thing in 1919. I think as long as Chris Ellich owns the team, he won't. Rumors are they want to sell. They don't care about Detroit. They want out. They live in California. Do you think wide receiver Isaiah Williams is going to play this week? I think they're going to hold him back a little bit because of that abdominal strain. It's a core muscle injury. He aggravated it in OTAs, missed a couple of weeks of training camp as well. I think they're going to let him come back slowly. You don't want any of those core muscle groups in the abdomen damaged for somebody that has to make so many cuts and turns on the field, which requires a lot of torque on the abdomen. Could he come back this week? Absolutely. Will he? I don't know. Abdomens are tricky ones. Fred Pierce says, I'm good, but it's a beautiful day. Would much rather be doing anything than working today. Yes. I mean, when I say Eddie Saccott, Ricky's great grandfather was a good pitcher. He won 2/3 of the games he ever started in. He had an ERA for a career right around the 3, which is amazing. And back then, everybody pitched as a complete game. Oh, I agree. I agree, but at the same time, I think Chris Ilitch won't spend. I'm talking about the owner. It's not Scott Harris that signs the checks. All he does is try to line up the contracts. Chris Ilitch has to approve them still. And he hasn't proved to me he wants to break off big money for the Red Wings, so why would he do it for the Tigers? So that's where I'm at with it. There are so many things. It's 4 times a season they can bring him up. And then they either have to waive him and sign him back to the practice squad or put him on the active at that time. So this might be the week that you see somebody other than TK come up. You can only bring somebody up out of the practice squad for 4 weeks out of the regular season. Yeah, he doesn't like to win like his dad. You're absolutely right. Mr. I loved to win. I was going through my cards. I got a nice little numbered Jameson Williams rookie card here. Hologram. And a nice numbered Hutchison clear. That was out of the Illusions set. So pretty happy I've been finding some good cards lately. TK was there. He was in the kick return game. He did all the kick returns. Khalif Raymond did the punt returns. I thought for sure when he was getting ready to be caught up the one time, he was going to pitch it back to the other guy, and he didn't. I was hoping to see that hook and ladder play because the other guy was gone if he did pitch it back. Hopefully, cornerback Rickestraw. Who knows? Ankles, abdomens, leg injuries, they're tricky. One day you know it's bad, and the next day it's good. Right. But the problem is kids inherit it who have no affiliation with Detroit like Mr. I had. Mr. I raised them in California. Even though Little Caesars is a Michigan based business, they don't like here. They want out. Thanks, Will. Mr. I did care about winning, he didn't care about money. He put us right at the cusp of the luxury tax or into the luxury tax his last few years trying to get a World Series before he died for the Tigers. But as soon as he was gone, they got rid of Dombrowski. They hired Avila. They hired Brad Osmus. Horrible, horrible hirings. And we ended up with what we ended up with. And now we're at that point where it's basically a rebuild almost 10 years later. It's been 8 years since we've been to the playoffs, and we're almost there with a bunch of homegrown guys. Right. Mr. I owns both the Red Wings and the Tigers, and both of them have fell off. Let's get a smoke on JB, eh? I'm halfway tempted to take the kid outside real quick, just so I can have a smoke. Matter of fact, I think that's a brilliant idea. Everybody still with me? We're going to go outside. because I'm bored. And I think that's the way to go. So it's Ask the Host time, guys. What are you thinking? I miss the Scotty Bowman days. I loved watching those games with my dad. I was only allowed to stay up late to watch the hockey games. I would still fall asleep. Oh, were the days, weren't they? I remember all those. So here I am. I'm outside, gentlemen. What's going on? Hope everyone can still hear me. Check, check. Yeah, there we are. Yes, a neighbor's mowing the yard. Bad timing, but I needed smoke. Now that the Tampa Bay game is over, looking forward, what do you believe will be the keys to the game come Sunday? Run the ball consistency. We haven't ran the ball consistently in either game. Good. We haven't been running the ball. We haven't been using the play action. We haven't been using the run to set up the pass. We need to get back to that. This 2-1 passing to run plays is not working. I just think Ben Johnson got too cute. Awesome, Ricky Sakat. Yes, it's a great book. You will love it. Still waiting for my game review, the review of the game to be printed with the website. I understand they're busy people too. They have their day jobs as well. So it is what it is. But yeah, that's my key to the game. The defense, I don't think anything has to change really. The only thing we got to clean up is penalties, and that's a mental thing that can be coached out of somebody. Because we can't have our defense giving up, what was it, a total of 32 yards of field position and first downs on the two penalties that there was. Because the one was for 17 yards, even though the announcer did announce that, you know, it shouldn't have been, it still was. Right. I saw that too. And I did say last Friday that the key was having Reeder back in this lineup. Reeder being in that lineup, even though he doesn't fill the stat column, what he did fill was eating up two interior offensive linemen. And on both of those big runs, Reeder wasn't in. It was Kyle Pico and it was Mikai Wingo on the big runs where Baker Mayfield broke free. Damn shame. Because other than that, we were holding them in check. Moonscar, there was a kneecap slapper. What's up, Joshua Dorr? Where is the dog? Outside somewhere. Not here. Prior to this show, at 11 is Ken and Ken, and I was on there for a minute. Ken and Ken in the morning. And that play also shows his development 100%. Because if you look, Baker couldn't run outside at that time. He had to go back inside, and it was Wingo that got juked out of his shorts at the defensive line at the point of attack, which also showed that lack of lateral agility I talk about, which is why he wouldn't be great outside. I don't understand why we dressed James Houston and didn't play him one down. He didn't take a snap. Not on special teams, not on defense. He was not on the field at all. It was a waste of a roster spot to have him dressed and not call up Uku. Uku should have been up there. I think that would have made a bigger difference. I'm beginning to question if they plan on using Houston at all. Why have him dressed if he's not going to play? It's almost making me feel like he's a trade bait for the deadline. I don't know why I feel this way. I just, something in my gut tells me that there's something going on behind the scenes that we haven't heard. They would have been better off with Jimmy the Whistle. Well, here I am outside doing what I do, having my smoke. Yeah, the great sound of a leaf blower. That means they're almost done. Uh, I actually found a brand that I get for under $6 a pack. So, right, like I said, the penalties can be cleaned up. The two guys that played the worst on the offensive line was Graham Glasgow and Frank Ragnow, and that's not typical of Frank Ragnow. They each allowed 9 of the pressures through of the 11 that was on Jared Goff. But you're talking about out of 85 till he just got done. That's the downfall of being outside. You get to hear everything else. But when I'm outside, I don't have the soundboard. I figured out what was wrong. It was going to the wrong speakers. It happens. I'm not going to get to be able to be outside too many more times. You know, it's getting to that time when the leaves are falling. Am I at the tire shop? No, I'm in front of the house. They were at somebody else's yard using it, and that's how good the microphone is. It picked it up 2 houses down and across the street. But they're done now. So that's all that matters to me. I love this shirt. Yeah, I found it. I saw it. I was like, I had to have it. I like the fact that it has the little logo, the big logo, up here, then the bigger logo. I like wearing a different shirt every day because it's all about displaying your fandom one way or another. I don't even know why we got to beware of the dog thing because our dog is my old neighbor Howard Hoffman mowed his lawn 3 times a day. Now I know where you got that name from. Okay. Now they come through here twice a week. Usually the other day is on Saturdays. Which I don't go live at noon on Saturday, so that's what it is. What it is. I try to make Saturday my day off, but I end up hopping on somebody's podcast. Other than Ralph's on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. His show, The External Bum. I'm proud to be a part of it. I may not like the name, but I have my own definition of what the external bum is and what an internal bum is. The internal bum is yourself on the days you want to be lazy and do absolutely nothing. The external bum, well, that's a guy that you can just call a bum because he did something wrong. Yes, the External Bum Show, where we talk a little bit of everything when it comes to sports. So, what do you guys want to talk about otherwise? I think the key to the game is getting back to the run game, making it a focal point. I have the feeling Patrick may get called up to the offense for the active 53 more sooner than later. The internal bum is when you have a stomach ache. The external bum is when the diarrhea comes out. Oh, geez, Josh. That's a horrible visual. But this week, our lowest rated guy was 42. Last week, our lowest rated guy was 29 between the offense and defense. Yes, he has been very good. And the way we're collapsing the pocket from the outside in, his athleticism may get a little hindered there because he has a tendency to make his runs outside, and we haven't been giving up very many of the outside runs. It's been up the middle, and it's mostly been Reeder and Aleem is on the bench when it happens. So I think if Aleem and Reeder's on the field more, and I expect Reeder to get more snaps this week, who knows? Maybe it's just a groin strain, not a groin pull with Marcus Davenport, and he can get on the field, but I'm not counting on it. If he's out, I want to see Ukwu. Remember, they almost beat the Bills and they smoked the Rams, but I think we mentally crushed the Rams. Plus, they were really injured still. They're not at 100%, and they're not going to be for a while. Now Cooper Kupp is out, and he went out with a walking boot. It wasn't a hammy; it was his ankle. They had to immobilize his ankle. Yes, the run game opens up the pass game. We saw this the last 2 seasons. That's why Jared Goff had very good numbers. Right. We have to slow him down, and that's why I think having Reeder on the field more will equal to that because we won't have that big gaping hole through the middle of the O line for someone to escape through. Because Baker's runs all came right up the gut. They went just off center, and he beat Wingo on the one, and he beat Pico on the other. Yes, I agree because we lost a close game. Everybody's acting like we got smoked, I mean, I understand a win is a win, whether it's 1 point or it's 20. But it wasn't a 20-point loss. It wasn't a two-score game. It was a one-score game where the defense gave the offense a chance to win, and we failed. Calling plays short of the sticks and behind the line is not conducive to good winning football. We cleaned up one area. There was no fumbles. There was the 2 picks. The one, you could question whether they missed a DPI or not. I say they did, but it wasn't called, so we can't count it against him because he was picked off that play before he could finish his route. And it would have been right where JMO was heading. It was a good pass. It just he couldn't get to his route. Yes, that's the other thing. It was Malcolm Rodriguez who missed a tackle on Baker. Yeah, Trevor Nowoski. He has not dressed the last 2 games. I hope they don't put him on the practice squad because somebody will snatch him up. The kid's fast. He's got good size. I want to see him play. Malcolm Rodriguez was ranked as one of our lowest linebackers. I think it would be a good time to not dress him for a game. Let him sit. Vaki's doing a decent job at blocking at fullback. So's Parker Hess. We have to remember, we did have 139 yards rushing, even though it didn't look like it. 106 total yards for Gibbs, 84 on the ground, 22 through the air. We had 35 by Monty on the ground with a touchdown. He was our only red zone scorer. I don't understand why the other 6 red zone trips we weren't using Monty more. That it boggled me. Yeah, they couldn't get into the red zone. They got a touchdown on a broken play where Baker broke free up the middle. So it's not like our red zone defense failed either. The other touchdown was a long pass play where it was broken coverage. It wasn't a zone play because Carlton Davis moved over, but he didn't pick up his guy. And Terrion went to cover Mike Evans because that was his guy. That's how you knew it was man and not zone. And I don't know what Davis did. I don't know where he was on that play. It looked like Terrion Arnold made a mistake, but I think he was covering the guy he was supposed to. When Goff passes the ball over 50 times, it's a sure recipe for disaster. I've said that ever since we signed him. I said, I hope we never have to see him throw 50 passes a game. Because if he has to throw 50 passes a game, that increases the chances of errors and mishaps in the passing game. With our running backs, we should not have to be doing that. I don't understand this. I don't mind 5 to 10 more passing than running plays because that's what we always average. It's 5 to 10 more. It's like a 55-45 split. But so far it's been 66% run and 66% pass and 33% run, and that's not conducive to good winning football. And I think this was the wake-up call for Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell. I don't know either. I don't know, Fred. Trying to look at it now. YouTube's getting finicky, but Facebook's even more finicky lately. Right, that's the crazy thing. But they clamped down in the red zone just like we did. Both teams only gave up 1 red zone score. Remember, they made it to the red zone. What was it? 4 times and only scored a touchdown. I mean, There's your. I gotcha. I mean, statistically, we won 3/4 of the statistics. We didn't win the turnover battle. We won the passing yards. We won the rushing yards. We even won the third down efficiency at 7 of 17. That's way better than the 3 of 7 they were, or 2 of 7, whatever it was. They didn't go for a single fourth down. We were 3 for 5 on fourth down. They had 14 first downs. We had 23. It's so weird to hear that. Yeah, he did have the worst game of his pro career. He gave up 5 pressures. Glasgow gave up 4 pressures. And Decker and Sewell each gave up 1. The only guy that didn't give up a pressure was Zietler, which is why he was one of our highest rated offensive players that game. And somehow Jared Goff wasn't one of the worst rated guys on offense. I don't get it. But I think it's kind of weird that none of the rookie quarterbacks has thrown a passing touchdown through 2 games. All 3 of them have 2 picks. Right. You're absolutely right, Fred. I understand it. If we had won that game, I'd still be talking about the play calling. I'm sorry, it's not conducive to winning football. It's why we were playing from behind. They still call Sam Laporta being ranked as one of our lowest guys, and he was the absolute lowest. Uh, it was abysmal that they counted that ball that hit 3 yards in front of him as a target. It hit the ground 3 yards in front of him. That last passing play, they still counted that as a target because it was within his catch radius. What the hell? That wasn't a catchable ball. Right, it happened last year, week 2, where we had a bad game, and now it happened in week 2 this year. Hopefully, that's the last time we see a game this bad, unless barring some other catastrophe. Yes, I get it, Fred. Oh, you guys make me laugh. I love it. Yeah, last year in week 2, we had that snafu, and they got the ball and came right down and won the game. And I still say, in week 1, I'm glad we won the coin toss because I think if Rams got the ball, they'd win. Yes. Lions need to listen to our fight song, especially in Crunchtown. Forward down the field, no side to side, Danielson. Oh, Mr. Miyagi has spoken. So I'm still waiting for us to run wild on somebody. And you know what I'm talking about. Where it's that dominating run game. We're using the play action and we're busting them underneath and over the top. We haven't been doing it. And we need to get back to it. I think they're going to put Carlton Davis on MHJ. I just got that weird feeling. But neither one of them has been great yet. They've been good, not great. At times they've been bad. The 2 penalties per game on Terrion Arnold, the first one was picked apart by the analysis. He goes, I don't understand why this is PI. He turned around. He was looking for the ball. He jumped up into the receiver while the ball was in the air while looking at the ball. That's normally not PI. And even Gene Seriator said that, or however you say his name, Seratiri, whatever it is, the guy that's one of the old NFL head officials. They always refer to him right away on a questionable call. We got to start being that charging team that will not yield, so we can get more rah, rah, rah. Because this was a quiet home game compared to the previous one versus the Rams. Does anybody agree with that? Second in yards per game, second in passing yards per game, 151 rush yards per game puts us ninth. So that's going on. Yeah, I know. Neither one are in the top 15, but we're second in yards per game, or ninth in yards per game. So we are in the top 10 for overall rushing. I know. Every time I tried to talk, they talked over me. I I, I get it. Hey, that's their show, though. They like to hear themselves talk. Kudos to the Raiders to upsetting the Ravens. The Ravens are 0-2. The Bengals are 0-2. Yeah, the railroad tracks are about a half mile away. You can hear it coming for miles away when a train blows its whistle. You can hear that whistle for 5 miles. They made them that loud so that cars know when they're coming to the places that don't have the railroad crossings. Yep. And they also don't address the chat as much as I do. I hear you, Brent. See, what I have guests, I basically ask the question, I try to let everybody give their answer, and then I add my 2 cents. Or if they all covered it, I say, yeah, I kind of agree with a little bit of everybody, because I think that's a good way to go as a host. And the Lions Fan Cave chat, if anyone wants to, just shoot me an email. I'll email you the link. You can come on. The Fan Cave chat is not all podcasters. That's also people that are just fans of the team and want to talk about what happened. That's what the Fan Cave chat is for. I created it more for the regular fans. It's just I'm blessed with friends that are podcasters that come on and are knowledgeable. Yep, Arizona's one tackle went down towards the end of the game, and that should help because so far we've been lining him up against the backups mostly. He did get a sack on the other side when he did go to the other side against Tristan Wirfs, too. So it is what it is. Hutch is one of the best in the game right now. And I'm going to put this graphic up again and read these stats one more time because I just think it's amazing. Through 35 games in Aiden Hutchinson's career, more sacks than Lawrence Taylor, more QB hits than Aaron Donald, more tackles for loss than Julius Peppers, more pressures than Nick Bosa, more tackles than Michael Strahan, more pass breakups than Myles Garrett, more forced fumbles than Reggie White. more interceptions than TJ Watt. Paul Jones. The Bears couldn't develop a Polaroid. Rest in peace, LGBTQB1. Yes, yes. I mean, this says it all right here. 0 touchdowns tied for last. 267 yards, second to last. 2 interceptions. That's tied with every rookie that's played this season. They all have 2. 55.7 QBR rating. That's dead last. But he's first in painted fingernails. What's the skinny on Arizona? Uh, you got as much as we are going to talk about Kyler Murray, you can't ignore James Cook in the passing game and the run game. He's one of those guys that does it both. He does it well. He's been a big reason. Yes, he's among some of the best, and he's a Lion. Those are elite players that are listed next to Aiden Hutchinson's name there, that he's beating out in stats. I love the fact that they threw in the more pass breakups than Myles Garrett and more interceptions than TJ Watt. Because TJ Watt doesn't just line up at defensive end, he lines up at outside linebacker, so he's in coverage more than what Hutchinson is. That's a key point that I like bringing up. Almost all of Aiden Hutchinson's snaps, except for maybe 10% of them, are at defensive end. So that's a huge, huge thing that we should be proud of as Lions fans. 5.5 sacks through 2 games, with 4.5 through the last game. I still, I wish we had another Hutch on the other side. We don't know what the other side's going to do because as this line develops and gets used to what Aleem and Reader's doing in the middle, the other side's going to get better. Um, well, we did see 6 pressures and a half a sack from Marcus Davenport in the first game. Who was the guy he got a half a sack with? Oh, yeah, the same guy that got a half a sack this week. It's Levi Onwuzurike. So if Davenport can come back healthy, then you got another pressure monster on the other side because that 6 pressures is decent. I don't care what anybody says. That's decent stats for an average defensive end. It's actually very good. Levi's been impressing me. He's been playing inside and out. He comes on the field when Reader has to go off, when either or Aleem has to go off, and plays next to those guys. Pascal even started to show a little something last week. Maybe he's still got something in the tank. Who knows? Every week he's getting a little better. So Jack Campbell was tied for second in tackles on the team. Brian Branch was first in tackles on the team, which is why he had a good grade. That plus he had a pass breakup and an interception. Yeah, I agree. Davenport is too injury prone, but we knew that when we signed him. That's why we got him for next to nothing. That plus Minnesota's still paying him. Thanks you, Minnesota. We basically, yeah, same here. We all hope that. That was the hope when we signed him. We gave him a prove it deal because we could afford to. You know whose numbers he exactly matches up with? Charles Harris. So if we can get him on the field for 10 games this season, that's a win. Because we didn't see Charles Harris on the field for 10 games last season. At least it didn't seem like it. And I mean 10 games with meaningful snaps. It is that time where we do it by order of who's in the division. In dead last, we have Fuck the Bears. Tied with us, we have Fuck the Pack. And last but not least, leading the division and ahead of us right now is Skull Fucked. Fuck the Vikings. We definitely need Levi to ball out. It's time and would be a big help if he can keep playing well, because Lord knows Hutch needs help. Josh Pascal has had flashes, but he hasn't done anything great, is what I'm getting at. In each game, he got a little better. He had snaps last week. He made a big play in the run game when they were trying to go to the outside. Is that surprising? No, it's not surprising about either one, Pascal or Davenport. We both know that both of those guys are basically Davenport is a starting rotational DN, and we knew this. And Pascal is his backup. Okay, my friend, how's it going over there in Detroit? I don't want to hear in Chicago. I'm doing fine. I don't know my friend. Don't get me wrong. Listen to me carefully. I'm not a Bear fan. I never will. Gotcha. It's good to see you, Rick Diaz. Glad to see you back in the chat. But it has been an amazing day, and I have to give a shout out to the paying sponsor right now, which is Brandon Service, right at the corner of South Grand Traverse and West Atherton Road, 602 West Atherton Road. Where? In Flint, Michigan. Flint, where the water's shitty, but the tires are good. Come on, stop in and check us out. Used tires starting at $40 and up. New tires, call to get your quote, 810-233-8230. Talk to George, Red, or myself, because that's also my place of employment. I go there every afternoon after these shows. Mention this ad, you will get $10 off of your tires. We do have to contain Murray. But like I said, the way that Hutch looks like he's improved his outside spin and his inside spin is still elite. Moonscar, fuck the Bears and their LGBTQB1. And remember, folks, if you eat too much cheese, you may need to bear down and drop the brown off at the bowl. Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here. Much love to everybody in the chat. Let's watch a good intro on the way out.
Here locally in the community, make sure y'all go check out New Cat Body by Jeremy Smoke.